Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk podcast. In today's episode of the depression series, we're going to be continuing talking about counselling, focusing on Cal's journey through counselling. So, in the last episode, we kind of discussed, how you came to actually ring up to do counselling, the experiences you've had, and then we kind of ended it on when you were getting into like the peak of it and the nitty gritty the nitty gritty of what you had to go through, your experience when it was intense and everything like that. So
so to pick up from where the last episode ended, like you say, I'd started it and the intensity was varying, and there was some very challenging times. And something I actually forgot to mention in the last episode that was one of the key fundamentals of the program that our counsellor informed me about, and that was an anchor and a rock for me throughout the whole program, was yourself, who was classed as my go-to person. As you mentioned in yours, a go-to person is someone that for this counselor's program was that you sort of, would you say, like you vent to, and after the sessions, or I'd speak to you about them, or just discuss everything that we'd gone through. If I was ever feeling down or low, or my head was ever feeling a certain way, I'd reach out to you. And I know in my experience, having you as my go-to person, I can't express enough how much that helped me. And I know even at the end of the program, our counsellor said that you are one of the best go-to people she has ever seen in her life, and I just felt very lucky to have you, because I know a lot of times you got me through a lot on that program.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, a lot of it was because I kind of, I've been through the counselling myself.
Yeah.
So I know what it meant to have someone there to speak to and vent to. So I can't even recall the amount of hours of conversations we've had, probably speaking over the same thing.
Yeah.
400 times, but we always talked about as if it was like the first time.
Yeah, no,
and we would always talk about everything, just talk through anything. But I realised, like, just literally me being there for you to talk to, listening, is so important.
It's indescribable. I feel in any struggle, it doesn't have to be a struggle in mental health. I just think in general in life, to know that you have someone that you can trust wholeheartedly. Like I think I told you everything. I probably told you as much as, I know I told you as much as I told the counsellor. To just that feeling, knowing you have someone there. And again, I think what was really, really strange, not strange, but it's to have that relatability, like you mentioned, that you knew what I was going through. And even the counsellor said, she'd never treated two friends before. So that, again, I feel massively helped. But the key point is, I just don't think it can be expressed or encouraged enough how important and special having someone like that is in your life.
Yeah, just having people around you supporting you, when you're going through counselling or a similar experience like that,
or any struggle is,
you can't really describe how important that is. And it's just like, I remember the times you would just ring me at whatever time and just vent about something, and I'd be listening. I'd just be like, I'd be listening, just talking to you about it. But that probably helped you so much. And I know, when I was going through my counselling, me doing that to my go-to person was, it's like, it's just a relief when you vent. And as you was mentioning, like, because it's so intense, there's a lot being talked about.
Yeah,
there's a lot on your mind. You come away from speaking to her, and your head's just like a million miles an hour.
Yeah, and she's not there anymore to fire the questions at. And I think that's the point, is she wants you to go away and think and reflect. And again, having that go-to person, I feel she knew that would help. And I know she helped identify me that I'm someone it helps a lot to speak my thoughts, or or to talk things through, because it helps me get to realizations. Whereas if I just keep it in, it bottles up. My head gets carried away. I overthink. I used to overthink things, and the negative would spiral on me. Whereas being able to speak to you, I always used to say that I think my depression hates you, because you're like the opposite. You're like I always say that you're my guardian angel, and you're like the the antidote to my depression in many ways. So,
You're making me blush here.
you're damn right. I'm gonna hype you as much as I need to, but as well as having you, I do want to acknowledge all my other loved ones as well.
God, yeah.
My mum, my stepdad, my nan, and my granddad, and even sort of like friends and family and other loved ones who weren't aware what I was going through. Just them being there and being able to make plans and do things with them helped me in general on the program and so much mental health. And that's why, again, I think loved ones and friends and family are just so important in life that it can't be expressed enough.
Completely agree. So how far would you say, as you were going through your counselling, when you started to notice like bits of changes, bits feeling a bit differently, like how long would that be, do you think?
Yeah, I think early on I started to notice little things, and then they obviously started to like sort of snowball or gain momentum and strength, and I just noticed in myself it was just little things, or people might highlight them to me, or the counsellor may ask me a question that made me go, have a realization moment. And a big one for me is that I used to be very moody. And well, you say like some people have like a resting bitch face. I feel like I've got resting moody face.
Yes, you definitely do. You do.
Like that, so that Ice Cube, like
yeah,
that look. But no, joking aside, I feel I was realizing I was becoming less moody in my head. I wasn't isolating as much. I was actively making conversation with people. Like I'd start conversation with you. I wasn't like isolating as much. And just things like this. And there's probably things that I don't even realize now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you probably felt similar in yours. Like, there's probably things you've changed in ways that you just don't even realize, or you forgot you used to be like that.
No, I completely agree with you on that. And I think, like, with yourself as well, when, you started noticing those changes, I feel on some of them, like, everyone else did too. Because I remember, like, I always used to make the plans if we ever did anything, didn't we? So I'd just be like, oh, do you want to do, come on, do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And then I remember, like, you started like, oh, do you want to do this? And I didn't know what to say. I was just,
hold on, am I reading
someone
this right?
got your phone?
No, it was because I know, especially, when I got quite bad in my depression, in our friendship, I know it and, admit it definitely became a one-way street, and you was the one making the effort, and I was being very, like, antisocial and so on. And then, to do that, and or something might happen, and I got so used to my head reacting a certain way, and then it wouldn't react that way, similar to something I know you said in your episode. Sort of said, like, why have I not just reacted like that? Because I got used to, for 5+ years, being a certain way. To start acting and being a different way was so bizarre in a sense.
Yeah. So an example you gave, like, you used to kind of isolate yourself quite a lot, and I know, even when we used to make plans, you used to just like bail, and you just used to just sit in your room. You wanted to be on your own. Like, was there any times where you had to kind of push yourself to not isolate?
Yeah, definitely early on in the program, because my depression was, fighting back, and it didn't want me to get better. So, I was fighting a battle, and there were times where I got those thoughts or feelings, and I was having down days, and obviously with the intensity of the program, I was having down days. But the counsellor had given me advice and actions which I feel were helping to battle back against my depression with more force. So, for example, mention actions and advice. I know, and I still use it, even now after the counselling, is she told me to write down positive notes in my phone, such as happy memories with loved ones, asking loved ones to write happy memories with me, or how they felt about me, how things like how they noticed I'd started to change in the program. And I feel that was, again, training me that anytime a negative thought comes in, read this positive information, and sort of, I'm just guessing, but train my mind to replace the negative with the positive. And in times when my depression was fighting back, or I might feel like isolated, that'd be sort of the things I'd turn to. And again, she was giving me actions like proactively make plans 3 times a week, and that, again, I think was helping in all that.
I think that's amazing, and I think it's really nice to have those, like, those actions, in a sense that is something to stick to.
Yeah.
So, they probably drove you, because I imagine you had, say, 7 actions a week or whatever, and you knew, like, well, you wanted to do 7 of them,
Yeah.
so you push yourself to do them.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really nice, them positive notes you were mentioning, is that you still have got them today, and that's like a tool that you had through your counselling, you'll probably have, for the rest of your life to refer to. It must be nice just reading them even when, you're not thinking anything negative.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, that'll be something I'll use for the rest of my life. And it's not always when I'm feeling down I'll read them, because it just is nice to read the positive things. But there are still times when I get maybe complacent and I notice I'm not how I like to be now, and I'm not as down as I was then, but I'm not at a level I like, and that them notes that I've realised really do help lift me back up.
Yeah. And I know before, as you was going through the early stage of the counselling and before counselling, is that your emotions were quite, you always used to say like you're just quite numb, like in a sense, you don't really feel positive emotions, but you definitely felt the negative ones.
Yeah.
So do you remember like the first time, or what point you did feel some sort of, shift in that as you was going through counselling?
Yeah, I can't remember like the specific first time, but as you say, I remember saying to her a lot that I don't feel positive emotions, never feel happy. I couldn't tell you the last time I felt truly excited, where you like get butterflies in your belly, and reflecting that is quite a sad thing to say. But then I did notice it was sort of like, I always used to say it felt like they were loading in, and I'd get like maybe a flicker of excitement or a flicker of happiness, and just even that flicker was like, it was like new to me, because I felt like I'd lost it for so long. I forgot what it felt like to feel that. And then again, the more time the program went on, and the more we worked on the program, these emotions became stronger loading in, and even still now that I can feel they're developing, but it's so beautiful to be feeling something that I felt I'd lost. And I think what was quite strange is when I was on the program, I always used to think, if I could ever get the emotions back, this is what it'd feel like, in sense of reflecting what it felt like in my childhood when I did feel happy and so on. But when I got it back, it didn't feel like that. And then I sort of thought, well, it's not going to, because I'm not a child anymore. I'm not that same person. I'm changing. My emotions are changing. My mind's maturing and changing. So the feelings are going to change. So in a sense, I was rediscovering positive emotions, because they weren't going to be what they were when I was younger.
Yeah, of course, because you've grown up, and it's been so long you've not felt anything, and now you're starting to suddenly feel these new and weird emotions. You're probably like, what's going on? But no, I actually remember at a point where I don't know the reasoning behind it, but you actually were saying to me like, I actually feel a bit excited. I don't know why. It's probably because he was like JD Honey or Chinese.
Chinese, aren't we? I don't know, maybe.
But no, you were saying like, I actually feel excited, and it was like, we made quite a big deal out of it, right, because obviously we knew that you've not really obviously felt that in a long time, so it was just like, oh my god,
it was a milestone in a sense. And I remember many times speaking to the counselor, I was like, I can't believe this. This is incredible, and thank you so much. And I also remember being on the counselling. Before I went into counselling, I had a preconceived idea that as it was going through and as I got towards the end, I'd feel like I'd be in this euphoric state all the time. But then as I started to learn it's not like that. What was happening was my depression was starting to become resolved, and I was starting to learn and discover myself again. And in a sense, she was kickstarting my positive development. And from the way I look at it now, is I'm always going to be pushing to develop and further myself. But that point in the program was like, I felt like a very big turning point, and that's when something you mentioned on yours also, say I was having 6 negative days to 1 positive day, that was starting to flip.
Yeah.
And I remember when that first started happening, I'd have that good day or that good moment, and then obviously it'd followed by a negative, and I'd be like, oh, I remember saying that I feel like I've just took a backward step, because I was having a really good moment or a day, but now I'm feeling down again. It's like, no, don't see it as you're taking a backward step. It's a forward step, because you've had a good day. And that sort of ratio is going to flip. Say it's like 90-10 negative to positive, I'd probably say it's the other way around now, if not more so the other way around. And that's something that I think I also realised and learnt, was to take my time, as in, you can't rush this, but it's coming. And that got, that drove me a lot through it as well.
Yeah. No, what do you mean by, it takes your time, but it's coming? What do you mean by that?
Well, it's like, I thought that when I do counselling, there'd be this moment where she'd worked her magic, and is an instant flip, is an
Oh,
instant I'm
right.
happy all the time now.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, I know it takes time, it takes
Of course.
development and work and effort. But sitting where I am now and remembering how it was then, it's definitely worth the wait and the effort that I put in then, even having to deal with that counsellor at points.
That was actually my next question. Is that did you have some challenging moments or times where you could have possibly shouted like I did? Did you go through any of those at all?
Oh yeah, she tested me, to put it politely. The thing when I reflect on now is, and I believe that she was always 10 steps ahead. I believe she'd established the program from our first introduction going through that document. She knew the path I would take, and I feel she knew me better than I know myself, because she understands mental health and personalities and people better than I can or ever will, because she's trained in it. That's,
of course,
that's job. And like with you, that on your counselling, there was points where she'd push my buttons, because again, she's sort of imply that I learn more about you then in those moments than I do in the other ones. And she was very testing, but again, I always knew it was anything she said or did was for the best, and it was only ever to help me, never to hurt me. And I think something very clever, she always advised things, but never obviously said do it. It was always on me, but again, I always knew it was for the best, and her advice was always beneficial to me.
Yeah, even though it can be very difficult to actually see in the moment.
No, yeah, like, there was a lot of times where she'd ask me to do something, she'd advise me to do something, and I'm like, why? I don't understand. Or no, that's really difficult. And there were times where I was like, I can't do that. And then over time, we'd spoke, and she'd do whatever they did. I don't know what they do even now, but and then I get to a point, it's like, I'm ready for that now. And then after it, I was like, I understand now, and I see, and I realised, you were right. And she was always very calm and understanding, because again, to me it was new, but to her it was probably just another day for her.
No, of course, yeah. I think that's a good place to stop. Like, we've discussed obviously like kind of the core of going through the counselling. I know we're doing an episode next on kind of coming to the end of the counselling and afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys, for listening to this episode. If you could give it a like and a share, that would mean so much to us. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications button to keep up to date with any of our future episodes. If you have any comments or thoughts at all on this episode, just please drop them below on any of our social media.
Yeah, and we're available on all social media platforms under the username @LT Podcast Online. We're also available on all podcast directories such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, as well as YouTube. And if you check out our link below, it's got all descriptions of further information in there. And as always, guys, thanks very much for watching. We hope to catch you in the next episode, and take it easy.
Take it easy. Peace.